You're a fightback expert. What exactly does a fightback expert do?
Business or life, everyone goes through challenges. It requires a lot of guts, energy, and a lot of determination to rise above these challenges. It's more like a war. Now the entire generation is very impatient. Give the instant gratification, immediate results. But then, as I said, that it requires some time for the business to grow.
Do you think most of the businesses fail because they fail to delegate their work?
Then obviously there will be failure. So mine is not a core referral company. It's a community of entrepreneurs who want to grow your business through 5 C's, which is connect, coach, consult, counsel, and celebrate. Only 20% people are able to do peak performance. The 80% are the people who are not taking it that seriously. They are unable to stretch themselves. They can't. They simply can't. That's the reason organization is.
It can be like a one-stop solution for your life and your business together.
That's why we have bifurcated that.
Okay, to make life simple.
Simple.
Number 1 spirituality and lifestyle podcast.
Kabir.
Kabirr Vani.
Kabirr Vani.
Kabirr Vani.
Kabirr Vani.
Kabirr Vani.
Kabirr Vani. Amazing people like Kabirr Vani. Welcome to Kabirr Vani. Welcome to Kabirr Vani podcast, where powerful mind meets purpose-driven conversations. Today's guest, Mr. Prashant Pradhan, comes with 30 years of experience. He has come up with business warriors, sale warriors, and life warriors, what they are, and how he has helped hundreds of businesses grow from zero to very high level. You will find out in today's podcast. We have not only spoken about just profit, we have also spoken about stress, we have also spoken about peace of mind. We have spoken about the baby steps that you need to take from hiring, building a team, and to making sure that having a proper CRM and SOPs online. Well, make sure that you do not blink, do not get up and go anywhere because you're going to miss something very awesome. Stay tuned till the end and share this podcast with every single person you think would require to learn something about business or is thinking about starting an entrepreneurial journey. Welcome, Pradhanji. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad that you're here today. And you come from a lifeline of business, life, and mindset,
Yes.
which is one of the most needed thing of an hour.
Right. Thank you.
You are Prashant Pradhan.
Yes.
You're a fightback expert.
Yes.
What exactly does a fightback expert do?
Yeah. So basically, if you see business or life, everyone goes through challenges, and it requires a lot of guts and a lot of energy and a lot of determination to rise above these challenges, fight it out. It's more like a war. Every day, small and big battles that people have to face either in business or in life. So you have to fight back. So what I do as a fight back expert is that I help people fight back in their life, be it in some personal issues or be it in business, and help them win. So that's the whole concept behind being a fight back expert.
Fightback expert. I was reading through your profile and you have got a very unique name for every single aspect for it. You got business, you got sales, you got life. Tell me the names and tell me why you chose the word warrior especially into it.
Yeah, like I was saying, life is all about battles, small and big battles, and the entire life is about war. So you have to fight it out and win. So basically, because a warrior fights out.
Correct.
So who is the person who fights out is a warrior. And when you say warrior, the entire spirit, the entire those pura junoon and zid, wo sab aa jata hai usme.
Correct.
So it's not an easy thing to handle when things are not going well, or when you want to grow and things are not growing as the way you want it. So you have to have the spirit of a warrior who never gives up. Nowadays, a lot of people you see कि 1-2 साल business कर लिया, 3 साल business कर लिया, give up कर जाते हैं. या life में भी आप यहाँ पे suicides देखते हैं. So people give up very, very easily. So the whole idea behind warriors is to tell people and to train them to be better fighters. And based on this fighting spirit, I'm sure they'll be able to achieve what they want to achieve in life. And hence, I said there'll be 3 verticals. Obviously, since business is a very important part of everybody's life, so there'll be Biz Warriors.
Okay.
So it is all about having a community of entrepreneurs who will be coached and consulted. So I have 3 aspects. I have Biz Warriors, I have Sales Warriors, and I have Life Warriors.
Okay.
As 3 verticals of warriors.
Okay. Wow, very nice. I love the fact. So you have business, you have sales, and then you have life.
Yes.
So how about we start from business?
Yes.
Okay. Earlier you said that people usually start their business और 3 साल भी I think बहुत बोल दिया आपने शायद मेरे ख्याल से 1 साल में ही 1.5 साल में ही लोग they end up quitting the
Yes.
business, right? What is the reason behind that? Why are they not able to sustain a business for 3 years, and why is it important for someone to sustain for 3 years?
See, basically, what happens is that the lot of failure that are coming in business is because people don't have knowledge how business operates. So, like you have to be a doctor, you have to take 5 years of education. If you have to be engineer, you have to take 4 or 5 years of education. For any specialization you have at least 4 or 5 years of education that goes into it. But when it comes to entrepreneurship, people feel that I've been from a business family, so I'll be able to drive business well. Yeah, somebody says I have an idea and I'll come with a startup and do business. And it's kind of ad hoc and not a knowledge oriented, or nobody's trained to be entrepreneurs. And that's where the gap comes.
Okay.
And because they are not trained, they don't know it will usually have a gestation period, because it's like a sapling. When you water the sapling, you fertilizers for a number of years. After that, it grows into a tree and then it matures and it gives fruits. So business will obviously demand those 2-3 years for it to give some amount of resources and some amount of attention before it starts giving you profits.
Correct.
So lack of knowledge about this entire, I would say, science of entrepreneurship is a reason entrepreneurs fail to see that they'll need around 3 to 4 years or even 5 years these days to break even, or and the stages of business as such. And that's where they falter, and that's where we have all the setbacks coming in these days.
What are the 3 big mistakes usually the new entrepreneurs do? The new age entrepreneurs. The old, I think, अपन जब भी अगर देखें दादा परदादा लोग, तो उन लोगों का जो consistency और patience अलग ही level का था. But what do you think is different now, and what has changed now? जो अपने नए entrepreneurs आते हैं उसमें.
See, one fact is there that now the entire generation is very impatient because of social media or mobile. In the instant gratification, immediate results. तुरंतली आप बटन प्रेस कर दो, स्विगी से 10 मिनट, ज़ेप्टो से 10 मिनट में आ जाता है. So people want immediate results. But then, as I said earlier in the earlier example, that it requires some time for the business to grow. So that impatience is what really is the reason why new generation is suffering. Secondly, as I said earlier, which I'll again repeat, is lack of knowledge. Though they're young people, they are not taking entrepreneur courses. There are courses in the market which offer entrepreneurship training. But people are not wanting to take formal education because they feel it is a matter of skill. But usually everything, people who have learned entrepreneurship, people have gone through it, can be ideal coaches or they can be ideal teachers to teach you how to go about doing your business. So that learning people are not taking is the first mistake they are doing. The second mistake they are taking is that they might hire a coach or a consultant but not listen to that consultant. The consultant says कि ये करो वो करो, तो वो अपने हिसाब से ही करते हैं और फिर बोलते हैं वो नहीं वर्क हुआ, आपका कंसल्टेंसी काम का, आपका कोचिंग काम का नहीं है. So listening and I would say, compliance is not there when it even comes to hiring consultants and coaches. And the third, I believe, the important thing is that people are not starting with good amount of resources.
Correct.
See, there are some lucky people who have access to resources, or from family, or through community, or through loans, etc. But some people are not able to do that. And if you start a business with minimal resources, then obviously, because as I said, there is a buffer that you require of 2-3 years. To sustain these 2-3 years, and then obviously you have a small team of 5-10 people, which might grow to 20, 30, 50 people also. Now, it will take 3 to 5 years for the profitability and the break even to come. So you will have to have resources to sustain that period. Lot of people fall short of resources and they have no way they can get additional funds. And I believe that's a major issue. So the rest of the things are there in terms of knowledge and implementing different best practices. But it is the funds which is the basic bottleneck, because of which lot of entrepreneurs are suffering, and the 3 mistakes they are making is not being sufficiently accumulating funds to do business.
So this is a very interesting topic, right? So a lot of people, when I speak to them about business, is that number one issue is this only, the lack of resources. Many of them, we know that they have very good mindset, that they know, okay, I'll do this particular things to start my business. Either it can be a food business, they can be a baker, whatever that can be. But most of the people, they lack resources. That's where they fail. Now, if a person who has zero resources and who's just starting a business or who wants to start the business, what would be a first step towards taking towards the entrepreneurship to ensure that they're succeeding? What would be that first step?
No, basically your idea has to be so strong that if you go in the market as a solopreneur also, there will be some clients. If that idea is something which is trending and you have taken with that idea and you go in the market. So today you see a lot of YouTubers or Insta people who make this handles, Instagram handles and YouTube handles, and they are able to then generate revenue on their own without any resources. So it's not zero budget. Also, you can do business, but when the scale up becomes difficult. So initially, if you have to start any business and get it rolling, it is possible. And whatever income is coming, you have to ensure that even if you have some house needs, you have to keep some amount for flowing back into business. Because business will need funds, like the sapling which needs water and fertilizer.
Correct.
If you have a small team, you will need money in terms of putting salary to them or office infrastructure or some equipment here and there. So that will require some amount of basic funds, which will come from whatever earnings you have as a solopreneur. You start putting those funds into that and gradually grow.
Okay.
So then you can grow from 1 employee to 5 employees to 10 employees to 100 employees.
Correct.
So that small trajectory you have to take across these years.
Okay.
But the idea is to be so, even if you are in a sense doing with zero budget, gradually earn money and plow it back into business to some extent.
Okay.
That is the path you can take even if you don't have funds currently available. But at some stage you will require, because if scale up starts happening, then again the same problem can come up.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now I understand that you come from a very much of a corporate background. So you were employed and now you're self-employed. You started your own business. Did you just completely quit working and then went directly into your business, or did you take a step where you were working as well, where you were employed in a company and you were doing your side hustle on the same time? What were you doing at that time?
Yeah, so basically this 28 years of corporate career, I have a stint as I tried as a national training head in one of the corporates during one of the stints there, and that time I had done training for companies outside my company also during part time. That was my first this thing at entrepreneurship. Then I also started a venture with a small team which was managed by somebody else. I was at work, and after office hours, I did not compromise on my office hours. After office hours, I used to meet, because it was related to some doctor's product. So I did after my office hours and was able to get good traction.
Okay.
So that particular project did not go so well. After 1 or 2 years, I had to shelve it. But the learnings were there. So when I started my own venture in 2018, that learnings helped.
Correct.
What are the few bottlenecks or challenges I would face myself, what I knew about. And as an SME or entrepreneur, as a startup, which I could then use it to ensure that the same mistakes don't happen again.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So the best thing to do, if you're working, continue working, start your side hustle and see that the business process you have in mind, and if you're able to get those clients.
Absolutely. That's a good idea, because then you have your house needs also being taken care of and the business also being supported. So it's a good idea to do a side hustle first before quitting the job. And it's not advisable, I would say, to quit a job and start a business if you don't have resources at all.
Fair enough.
That would be very difficult then.
That is true. When is the right time for a person to hire their first employee?
See, ideally, I believe if you can start with a small team itself or with one employee itself is a good idea. But if you don't have resources like we discussed earlier, then I believe in a month or so you will need somebody. Because if you are yourself doing everything which is about your sales, your service and your other aspects of the business, then there will be gaps in every function, because you will do every function for 2 hours. So even if you have one person additional in your team who will take care of one function, then also that function will be taken care of for entire 8 hours. So I believe investing in a team, even if it's one person, it happens is an immediate need.
Okay.
Which I also did in my business.
Okay. So as soon as you feel that the enough work has come across, hire your first person.
Yes.
Do you think most of the businesses fail because they fail to delegate their work?
See, ideally, if a person says that he'll do everything and multitask, then obviously there will be failure, because as I said, if there are around 8 functions of management, be it sales, service, production or HR or whatever you would call it, and one person is doing sales also and service also and production also and everything, obviously he'll be able to do it 2 hours.
Correct.
And he will not be able to justify for that function. So it's necessary that you have a full-fledged team in picture and you move ahead. Doing it a one-man job is a difficult task because you tend to then also mix up things. You are also an expert in some function. You can't be expert in 8 functions.
Right, correct.
So,
But are we not all Indians are expert in all and everything that we do? Like हमें हमारे हिसाब से ही हर चीज चाहिए. We want everything as per ourselves.
no, that is the gap. As you asked me earlier, whether you will delegate tasks. When you delegate some task to somebody, obviously the person will do what he wants or the way he wants it.
The way
Obviously, your direction will be there and the broad guidelines will be there. But then you have to leave some amount of flexibility to that person also do the way he wants it.
Correct.
So the biggest problem, in fact, the bottleneck that comes in SME growth is his mindset. Is that he wants to hold everything to himself and wants it to be done exactly how he would have done it.
Correct.
That's not practical. So if you are delegating also, the basic rule is that you have to ensure that you give the responsibility after giving clear instructions. But you can't say do exactly the way cut and paste as I do it. Then there is a problem.
Absolutely.
And that mindset is a problem because then every employee that comes in new, you try to hold it tight and then he has problems with every employee because he feels that employee is not behaving the way you want it.
The way you want it.
So even if you take an example at home, these days at home also, not every family member behaves the way you want. The child will behave in his own way, the wife is or spouse will have his own or his own way of this thing. So you can't control anybody for that matter these days. So then why attempt and fail? So you have to be realistic, you have to delegate and you have to say the result plus minus हो सकता है. एकदम से 100% नहीं आएगा, but 80% भी आ गया तो मेरा काम हो गया. You have to budget it that way.
Correct. So I think what you're trying to say here is maybe you can set an SOP.
Yes.
Okay, this is what I want. Now do you do it your way.
Absolutely.
End goal is supposed to be what I want.
Yes, SOPs with some flexibility I would say because even the leadership style might differ. Or some amount of other aspects of business might differ. So SOPs are broad guidelines. Yes, there are documentation and all these things happens in corporates so that things can be provided part in the process and process systems are important. But still some amount of flexibility it's not to break the rules or in terms of governance, but in terms of managing things and people management, leadership, all these soft aspects of business can be left to the person in charge.
Okay.
And the SOPs might not exactly come in use if it comes to the soft elements of business.
Basically don't micromanage.
Yeah, micromanage has its disadvantages and hence micromanage is not I would suggest.
Correct, absolutely. What is your thought process for freelancers? Because recently I've noticed a lot of businesses have adapted work from home culture. They're not hiring people anymore, right? What they're doing is they're working on project basis. Before, back in COVID time, I think the word freelancer had got a little fire into it, and now it is changing towards hire on project basis. What is your thought process on it? Do you think hiring an in-house employee is much more convenient, or hiring a freelancer is much more convenient?
See, ideally, the whole objective is that the work should be done. And what I see across in organizations, be it big or small, is that employee management has become very, very difficult. Employees come to work and then, like there was this survey, international survey, we said that 40% of Indians act busy. So just because they have to be at work from 10 to 6 o'clock, 4 hours they'll work, 4 hours they'll not work.
Correct.
So in that sense, the productivity is itself very low and you're paying for entire 8 hours. Plus the infrastructure cost. It's a reality globally. And India much more so because we like those small chai breaks here and there and being socially more active, we are more keen on socializing and being socializing at work rather than focusing only on work. So that has some limitation in terms of productivity. But similarly, if we feel that only project-based work given to freelancers can work, that also has its own limitations. Because internationally, if you see project-based freelancers, the whole idea is about accountability.
Correct.
Today, in a country like ours, wherein to some extent, I'm not saying we are a great country and we are doing well in business, but the accountability, you'll agree with what some foreign or first world countries have, a lot of our employees don't have. Or our people who go abroad have more accountability than the people who are here.
I agree.
So, we are freelancer, we are employee. If the accountability aspect is not there, then both will have some issues. So, I believe you have to weigh it out. If the project is very, very crucial for the organization, in-house employees are better to handle that.
Okay.
But if it is possible that some outsourced employee can also support or kind of mixture of both is the best way to go about is what I would feel.
Okay.
Or you can experiment with some in-house and some outsourced.
Some outsourced. Okay. Yeah, because recently this is what I have come across as well in my business, where I realized that when I was calculating the amount of hours, the money that I'm paying to my in-house employees, and then I'm paying to the freelancers on project basis, turned out to be much better that way, because I've found some freelancers who are a bit more on a expensive side or premium side, you want to call that. But the best part was that I'm only paying them for the project that I have. And best part is I have to give them the timeline. This is the timeline that I'm giving them the project. They have to give me that project in that timeline. If not, the amount of money that I'm paying them lowers down. In that thought process, they also finish the work on time. And also, when I don't have another project, then I don't have to worry about paying his salary consistently.
Yes.
I just have to pay him if and when I require at that point of time. I felt this was my own thought process that came into my life, and I was like, okay, I'll share that with you.
The trend is already there. If you see, people outsource marketing is very clear.
Yeah.
So instead of having an in-house marketing person, they have outsourced marketing agency.
Correct.
They have now HR outsourcing. CFO is outsourced. Even sales for that function, one of the verticals I have, people outsource me as a sales head.
Yes, we'll get to that as well. Yeah.
In a part-time way. So outsourcing suits SMEs so that the costs are under control and the more efficient work comes in.
Yeah. You're saving money. Whatever the amount you're saving, it's a saving.
Yes. So if you are a larger corporate with bigger budgets, then obviously having an in-house employee, ensuring that training happens, motivation happens so much that the employee is more engaged.
Correct.
Then obviously it's more productive.
Yeah.
But then you have to have budget for training and motivation as much to really engage that employee.
And also retain that employee.
Absolutely.
Because what is happening now as well, what I've realized, so coming to the hiring part, right? When the business is there, when you said you're going to hire an employee, hiring part becomes very challenging, right? Recently, when the early millennials or the Gen Zs, the Gen Alpha, sorry, watch out, but Gen Zs we are talking about, they have a very different mindset of working, right? I remember when I had started my entrepreneur journey, I was doing almost 17 hours, 18 hours in a day. I used to work 6 days a week, 7 mostly, but 6 तो ऐसा था एक दिन तो छुट्टी हो ही जाती थी, but 6 days a week, 17, 18 hours without complaining because, of course, I'm an entrepreneur. Recently, what I've realized is that when you're hiring a Gen Z, they have a thought process when they work more than 9.5, 10 hours, they start getting headaches. They don't want to work, they get bored. Why is that? And also, the Gen Zs who are coming into the market, they're coming with an expectation that they want to get hired at a very high salary range and a low work level. Have you come across any of these thought processes lately?
See, ideally, you're right in what you say. And firstly, let me tell you that Gen Z does come with a lot of strengths. I would like to start with that. But additionally, what your observation is right. See, what has happened is that it's a pampered generation. So I come from a baby boomer generation wherein we had some limitations. My parents wouldn't give us as much as we wanted. And so we wanted to give everything to my children. Be it your toys or your clothes or your entertainment or your house or car. Whatever my parents could not give to me as much because they have their own limitations. Because there's a different era altogether. Now I have given everything to my child. Now my child feels he's entitled to everything. So when he comes to a workforce environment also, he brings that entitlement with him. And he's mostly with one kid rather almost every family that for that child feels this world is for him or her. And that entitlement sometimes in a workforce can be a deterrent because then he expects more rather than giving more. We have been brought up as a baby boomer or maybe as a 90s employee that we should offer ask not what your country should do for you, but what you should do
what
for
we can do for you. Yeah, what more
we can do for the organization also.
Yes, correct.
And having got into corporate like Tata's, which I was part of, it was like the best company in India. So ये तो जॉब छोड़ना ही नहीं है, भले 12 घंटे काम करना.
Absolutely.
तो इसलिए हम लोग स्लॉक करते थे. अभी वो फीलिंग नहीं है क्योंकि ठीक है कोई तो बैकअप है. हमको कोई बैकअप ही नहीं था. Right from 90s, we never took any money from our parents, ensured that we gave to the family.
Correct.
तो वो अभी उनको कुछ है ही नहीं कि जो है पैसा उनका है. तो ये हो जाता है उनके साथ. तो उनकी भी गलती नहीं है कि हम लोगों ने उनको ऐसे ये किया है, रेस किया है. Lekin having said that, I believe in the workforce that has become a huge problem. So as a business coach, when I go around trying to help entrepreneurs and see the situations around and my clients, I believe the largest bottleneck comes because of employee productivity. Only 20% people are able to do peak performance, who are actually people who are hardworking and who are high in quality. The 80% are the people who are not taking it that seriously.
Seriously.
They are unable to stretch themselves. They can't. They simply can't. So that's the reason organization is suffering. Because if it was at least 50% of the people who would have at least stretched themselves a bit, and the requirement is markets are also become tighter.
Right.
In earlier times in 90s and then 2000 onward, the markets were slightly more fluid. The cash flows were better. The competition was less. Social media was not there. Awareness was not there. Now with the buyer being more educated and the marketplace being even more tougher, for an organization to make a mark has become very, very difficult.
Yeah, agree.
And at the same time, employees are also something who don't ensure best productivity. Then there is a gap. And that's why you see a lot of corporates and SMEs struggling
to grow,
struggling to survive. I mean, the real picture is not as rosy as it seems to be. A lot of people would not show it on the face. But if you really see the profit margins and the cash flow situations of many companies are very poor because of employee productivity. That's a single most reason, not for the marketplace. But if you have a very highly and motivated workforce, then you can take any challenge like a warrior. 300 लोग भी 10,000 की आर्मी को हरा सकते हैं, 1 लाख की आर्मी को हरा सकते हैं. जुनून जज्बा है तो क्या कम है. कोई जुनून और जज्बा नहीं आ रहा है उनमें, जिसके लिए शायद हमें रिस्पॉन्सिबल कि हम लोग जिससे उनको रेस किया है और whatever. And times have changed. So I think business will have to evolve from this and find a new formula. But this formula is not working.
Do you think startups are also failing because when they are hiring Gen Zs or they are hiring interns, they're overpaying them when they're first hiring them? Then what is happening is that their mindset becomes, oh, you know what, being into an internship, usually when I come from an internship, I remember not getting paid, first of all. If the internship was a free internship, I used to get a certificate, here is a certificate and go and find another job. Now, what they have done is that when you work as an intern, they started paying you 15,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees. And then once their 6 months is over, they're not allowing them to continue anymore because they're going to hire another intern and start working with them. Now, these interns, now trying to find another job, they're now asking for 30,000 rupees, 40,000 rupees as an instant salary where they don't come with any experience.
Right.
Do you think that is one of the reasons where startup also fail?
Yeah, I agree with you that the salaries are on the higher side these days, but I think that's how the market has moved. So remember in 90s, the salary started with 1,000, 2,000 rupees per month.
Right.
And it all depended on your performance-based incentives that you would earn. So you would strive more. But I think the whole job market has changed, and if you don't pay as much, you will not get good quality people. So, and there are some tasks for which you don't get people also. So only certain type of people do. So you have to pay to ensure that, and also have a certain job profile to attract certain people. And all the other perks and the Saturdays off and all these things also have to be incorporated.
We won't stay after 7 o'clock. After 7:30, I start getting headaches and all this.
Absolutely.
Is what's going on, right?
So I think, in a way, people might say it is about work-life balance, and yes, it's true that you have to have work-life balance, otherwise a lot of stress issues come forth. But it is impacting organizational performance is for sure.
Correct, right? Because if your organization is not going to grow, how will you consistently be at work, right?
Yes.
Because so many big corporates are also laying off people.
Yes.
As of right now, that's what's going on. I'll tell you one person that has come to us for a job, right? It was a social media agent. She had applied last year in 2024, and we had a conversation, and she was like, oh, you know what, I'm looking for 35,000 rupees. Like, okay, that's not something we can pay you. But she came with only 1 year experience. It was not like she had 3-4 years experience. Fine. It's been 1 year now, and she's still roaming around. I got a message from her the other day saying that, hey, I'm looking for work. Are you hiring? Why are you asking for 35,000 when you know for last 1 year you have not found work? What can you say about this mindset?
No, I believe it's about entitlement once again. You feel that you are a person who is entitled to that kind of salary. And say, as I said, there is parental backup these days. Even you don't earn, it's not that you will not have nothing to eat. Correct. You'll be taken good care of.
You don't have the stress of taking care of home. Or
yes. So mostly, there are good people who may have, but mostly people who are not that needy would obviously wait and see as to what best, because they feel if they agree for lesser, then for a year or two, they'll get stuck on the same salary. So, yeah, I mean, mindset. See, ideally, it's about the ego has, to some extent, if I would say so, has come up to a level wherein they don't want to take jobs of smaller salaries and menial jobs or hardworking jobs. And see, ideally, you would say if we are like the fifth largest economy and all this stuff, and in a way, maybe 20 years down the line will be whatever the first world country. So if you see there also, it's similar situation. So we are actually going the way first world countries are. Nothing to be surprised. If you go to slightly kind of a third world country, a little behind us, in Africa, they would still have similar what we had 20 years back.
Correct.
So things have evolved. They will go in the same direction. Yes, impacting organizations to some extent or large extent, but I think it can't be helped. It can't be helped.
It's a mindset eventually, if or when
we have to adjust to that. And find out business models that work on these models. Like you have the self-serve models that these days, with the intervention of people. Then people have got AI. Like you always know that automation come because factory workers wouldn't slog it out and get their unions.
Correct.
In Mumbai, we had the textile industry totally going bust because the unions objected and had a mass strike, whatever reasons, good or bad. But then automation came on the shop floor because they thought automation was better, robots was better than workers.
They won't go
because they won't go on strike and they would work through the day.
Yeah.
So similarly, AI is replacing white collar workforce also.
White collar, I completely agree.
Because the pain of employee management is too acute, and gradually organizations, like you said, they either outsource or they are taking to AI that AI can fulfill their requirements.
Yeah, because nowadays I think AI can almost do every single work.
Yes.
The social media can be automated. You can content can be automated. Designing can be automated.
Yes.
Nowadays there are actually softwares which is editing the videos for you completely automated. Although they have not reached to that human element of making it look good and adding the emotional elements to it, but somehow, some way it has gone into that. But that's AI is a conversation for another time.
In fact, I will add this ki basically what I was saying is this new generation is unable to stay themselves because they are always on mobile for last 5-10 years. वो बेड पे रह के मोबाइल देखते, ना खेलने का अपॉर्चुनिटी मिला है, ना तो कहीं पे खेल कूद किया है ज्यादा. वो हार्डवर्क का आदत ही नहीं है. अपने बेड पे सारा मिल रहा है, मम्मी पानी भी दे रही है, चाय भी दे रही है, चिप्स भी दे रही है, सब चीज दे रही है. तो उनको हार्डवर्क की आदत ही नहीं है, तो उनकी भी गलती नहीं है. तो जॉबलेसनेस की बात कर रहा था मैं कि जॉबलेस क्यों है लोग इतने सारे. जॉब्स है लेकिन अच्छे एम्प्लॉयज जो हार्डवर्क करेंगे, जो एक टाइम नहीं देखेंगे, जो कंपनी की रिक्वायरमेंट है, वैसे जाने के लिए काफी लोग तैयार नहीं है.
I think
they would rather be jobless rather than doing such work and extra hours. I mean, they are not desperate.
They don't care. Yeah. Now getting back to the business aspect of it, what do you think, how important networking is when it comes to growing your business? So there's a network next that you have spoken about. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Ideally, what happened, I've been in media for nearly 30 years. So I worked with Tata's. I was part of Network 18, which was the TV channels. And I was part of Ask Me Your Digital Property. Even Tata's was there for the Yellow Pages brand, which is a print directory. So I worked in print media, digital media and TV media. So I have seen how media has changed. So earlier when we used to do cold calling. Every shop we used to go and say that if you advertise in our Yellow Pages, you will get business. Then gradually people said, how many people will come walk in like this? So you take an appointment and come, because that was 90s the time the market opened.
Correct.
Right from computers to credit cards to Yellow Pages to newspapers, everybody started going directly to clients. So they said building में entry नहीं मिलने लगी 5-10 साल के बाद. फिर टेलीकॉलिंग चालू हो गया, टेलीमार्केटिंग करो. फिर टेलीमार्केटिंग करने के बाद फिर अपॉइंटमेंट मिलती थी, उसकी 25% कन्वर्जन आती थी. तो दैट वाज वेरी गुड कि चलो अपॉइंटमेंट लेने के लिए एक टीम बिठा दी और ऑल गर्ल्स मूव टू टेलीमार्केटिंग एंड बॉयज रिमेन्ड इन सेल्स. धीरे धीरे क्या हुआ, टेलीमार्केटिंग भी इतना हो गया कि लोगों ने फोन लेना ही बंद कर दिया. ट्रू कॉलर जैसे आया वैसे अभी लाल वाला आता है तो कोई लेता ही नहीं. सो वो भी तकलीफ हो गई, टेली सेल्स टेलीकॉलिंग प्रॉब्लम हो गया. आप बोलेंगे कि आपकी इन्फॉर्मेशन वहां पे होनी चाहिए जहाँ पे लोग हैं, जैसे आपकी टारगेट ऑडियंस है, वेरी कॉमन इन एडवर्टाइजिंग, बी इट योर इंस्टा और फेसबुक rather than print or whatever else. But then the conversion percentage of the leads are just 2 or 3%. So if I spend, like I was with a client who had a budget of 15 lakhs per month for advertising and you get 15,000 leads in that. But the conversion percentage is not even 2%. So unless your product is priced at 20, 30, 40,000, you would not get any benefit.
Correct.
सो ना तो कोल्ड कॉलिंग वर्क हो रहा है, ना तो टेली मार्केटिंग वर्क हो रहा है, ना तो आपका टेली सेल्स वर्क हो रहा है, ना तो आपका सोशल मीडिया से इतने कन्वर्जन्स है. सो हाउ डू यू ग्रो योर बिजनेस? So I came across networking as something wherein you have entrepreneurs, mostly upcoming entrepreneurs who don't have larger budgets for marketing and huge amount of marketing, would interact, and then they would, based on the trust they developed amongst each other and the rapport they developed, would exchange referrals. And based on that, they would get good amount of business from this. Everybody, if I am spending as a household 10 lakh rupees and my business expense is also 10 lakh rupees, I have 20 lakhs of business to give. ऐसे अगर समझो 50 एंटरप्रेन्योर हो गए तो 10 करोड़ का बिजनेस इधर खड़ा होगा.
करेक्ट.
सो वो आपस में ही अगर हम लोग सर्कल बना के आपस में एक दूसरे को देते हैं तो एवरीबडी बेनिफिट्स. आई आल्सो गेट बिजनेस वर्थ 20 lakhs.
Yeah, and also trust is different factor comes here as well.
Absolutely.
Because I know you,
Yes.
and you know that person, and if you're connecting me to that person,
Yes.
it becomes much easier for me to trust that person.
Yes.
Because I know you and you know him.
Yes.
Rather than right now, what is happening? Telecalling, you don't even know who's coming in.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So basically, like anybody buys because there is trust, and we also see brands who have developed trust, like Tata's and other bigger brands. So trust can be built based on rapport and bonding also. And that's, so you meet somebody every week and you create a rapport, and then you have a proper structure for referrals. Then your referrals are possible.
Correct.
But then I didn't limit it only to referrals because my idea was to grow somebody's business.
Correct.
So Biz Warriors or Network Next, what is the Network Next? We changed the word to Biz Warriors. I have tried to build a community of entrepreneurs, which is around 500 numbers currently, wherein I try to coach and consult them and try and also counsel them so that they can benefit through growth.
Correct.
So when we meet, I try to take a coaching session on sales, marketing, media, leadership, business growth, so that they take away something that they can implement in business. I also connect them so that offline they can, I'm not saying a very hardcore referral network. I only connect people. Based on that connection, they go outside, they make one-to-ones or connect on a one-to-one basis and then take their businesses ahead.
Okay.
So mine is not a core referral company, Biz Warriors. It's a community of entrepreneurs who want to grow your business through 5 C's, which is connect, coach, consult, counsel, and celebrate. So these are the 5 fundamentals we are using to build a community, and so far we had good results.
Okay.
And we have built a sizable community, and I'm sure we'll go further.
As well. And I completely agree to that as well. I think I'm one of the part of very good networking organization as well, where we meet and exchange businesses, and I feel it has got better than having a telecaller or having sending the flyers. You don't even know that it's working towards.
And I believe a lot of good companies like mine is not a referral network, as I said, not a networking company. I am a growth group, rather, I would say.
Right.
So I won't call myself
Growth
networking.
warriors.
Growth warriors, like Biz Warriors.
Right.
So there are a lot of good networks who are doing extremely good business, and I believe as a concept it has worked well.
Absolutely.
How well you do it sincerely and through certain process and systems is what make it a success.
Correct. Absolutely. Now let's take this conversation to a different aspect. All right. And I feel what we're about to talk is one of the most important factor where I feel 80% of the startups and entrepreneurs fail. Sales. What happens here is that if you're not good at sales, even if you're most passionate about your business, you're not going to be able to grow your business. What do you think? How much percentage of sales is important, and to learn sales is important for an entrepreneur?
No, I believe it's extremely important to know the funnel of sales, So ideally, I would say the business growth funnel goes like ideation, branding, marketing, sales, and service. And then the support functions like HR, admin, IT, वगैरह. So unless your branding is right, what people feel that what your company is all about, whatever you try to market will not sell, will not get you leads. So branding becomes important. The idea needs to be scalable. Your product market fit needs to be great. Then the marketing itself should give good leads. Like you said, it be networking or social media, etc. Then you have the sales function itself. So sales function is important in the sense that what people miss is that there are 4 aspects of sales.
Okay.
Or sales management, I would rather say. So you will not sell so much yourself. You will have a sales team doing it mostly. If you have to look at that scenario. So that time you have recruitment, training, motivation, and tracking or control. So a lot of SMEs or startups do their recruitment on a very ad hoc basis.
Okay.
They feel the person talks well, so he must be smart enough to recruit, and that's where you recruit them. That's not the right way of doing it. ट्रेनिंग इज एब्सेंट बिकॉज इसे एक दो थोड़ा ये पढ़ ले और चालू कर दे, तो ट्रेनिंग तो होता ही नहीं है. मोटिवेशन के भी बजट्स नहीं बोल रहे हैं कि हम लोग कैसे मोटिवेट करें, थोड़ा इंसेंटिव दे देते हैं. So that also is not the right process. So lack of process knowledge of what actually sales management is all about is the result behind startups and SMEs failing in sales. And obviously tracking, because then you have to have CRM and technology to it also. So that entire structure has to be there. So everybody, it's about structure, systems and processes.
Okay.
It's not about that I know our sales and एक बंदा ले लिया उसको बोला चलो सेलिंग कर चालू कर 10 क्लाइंट को फोन कर वो रिजल्ट नहीं आएगा आजकल. So that's the mistakes they make, and that's where the sales becomes very important, because otherwise then the business will not grow at all.
Okay.
Survive at all.
You know, I really understand how you said that sales concept is a very challenging method as of right now. Is there a sales script that one can use to ensure that they can acquire any sale out there?
I mean, scripts do help, no doubt about it, because you have specific guidelines as what needs to be spoken. But then I have my personal opinion as a sales trainer and a sales head has been ki you have to give the salesperson some flexibility to variate from the sales script.
Okay.
Because when you're having a conversation with the client, because I am not in a favor of telling, because I believe in the phrase telling is not selling. Tell me, I'll forget. Show me, I may remember. Involve me, I'll understand.
Okay.
And for this, very important that you hit a conversation with the client.
Okay.
And when you have a conversation, you can't just say as to basically this particular script will be adhered to. So when you have something to be told to the client, yes, script will help. It can be used as a guideline during a conversation.
Okay.
But it can be, it's all, I mean, everything is the script is not what I believe in.
Okay.
Because as I said, conversation needs some flexibility, and then that's how you have to train your people to be good communicators. And not just good script readers.
Okay. So communication is also a key here.
Communication and conversational skills become key.
How as a person starting to learn how to do sales, like you said, involve me and I'll be a part of it.
Yes.
How do I involve a person in a sales skill?
No, so it's a basic psychology. I read a book way back in 90s, earlier 88 rather, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. The book written 100 years back.
Yes.
And that book says if you want to win friends or influence people, you have to talk in terms of other person's interest.
Okay.
So that's what sales is all about. It's not about my product, because the client is not interested in my product. He wants a solution to his problem. So the whole key is that first you talk about his problem, understand his problem, ask more questions about the problem, and then you see if you have a solution and then offer the solution to it. That's how the sales call will ensure the engagement comes, because when the client feels you're talking about him and his problem, then he'll be interested.
Okay.
If you talk about your product, then he would not even listen to you. But if he's polite, he will just say, okay, I'll get back to you. When you talk in terms of his interest, his problem, because see, he's sitting there to solve his problem of his business.
Correct.
And you are going to offer some solution for his business problems or his life problems. So unless you talk in terms of his interest and his problems, why would he listen to you?
I agree.
And then engagement will not come.
So it's not about me. It's about you.
It's all about you. It's all about the customer and his needs and his problems. And that's where he'll find out the gap. See, finally, what is the product? A product is something that finds some solution for a problem. Like we had Bisleri just now or whatever, mineral water. There was a problem in the market that there was no mineral water and people didn't know how to drink from a tap water on the streets. Or when they are outside in train and they didn't have good water to drink. And then somebody thought of a solution for water. So obviously the approach has been first problem then solution. So client से भी ऐसे ही बात करनी है, पहले आपका problem बोलो क्या है, अगर मैं solve कर सकता हूँ तो मैं मेरा solution offer करता हूँ. And lot of times you say I don't think I have a solution for it also. There could be times when you tell the client, I understand you have a problem, but I currently don't think I can help you out with, because my problem cannot be solved with my solution.
Fair.
And I appreciate that and come back when he has the exact need.
Exact thing. So the trust base is higher at that point.
Yes, so you should not be in a selling mode. You should be a solution provider. You can offer a solution to the client to his problem, then he is yours for lifetime.
Okay.
And that's where the engagement comes in. Telling is selling जो करते हैं ना, तो वो सिर्फ अपना बड़बड़ करते हैं अपने प्रोडक्ट के बारे में, तो क्लाइंट को चाहिए ही नहीं. It doesn't hate his this thing because he is not addressing his issues. When you address my issues, my gaps, my growth issue or whatever that issue is, then I will say, okay, what is the solution you have? And if a solution is something that's interesting, then he will say, okay, I think it's great. So let's take it forward.
This
That's
is
how
similar to you're talking about John Belfort, like sell me this pen, right?
Yes.
It's like when you're saying that sell me this pen, so people have started selling, oh, this pen has this, this pen has this feature, this
Yes.
pen has that feature. What he always said is I always create a problem for them to
Yes.
have to have pen at that point of time
Yes,
and be
yes.
like, here's the solution.
Yes.
I think this is very similar concept at what you mentioned.
Absolutely.
as of
Feature
right
advantage
now.
benefit is not what works
Yeah.
at this stage.
Ah.
When you give a solution, that time you offer the features and the benefit, fine.
Correct.
But just as a selling point, don't do that. The other day, I had a person who had come for an interview, and I said, "When you sell me this, what do you say, Vodafone service example, mobile services." So she said, "Hello, is it Mr. Prashant I'm speaking to?" He said, "Yes, this is Prashant. Hello, sir, I can't hear you. Hello, sir, I'm not hear you. So it seems you have a problem with your telephone operator. Why don't you change your telephone operator?" That's what I'm going to solution with.
Oh, no way. That's
So I mean,
great.
that's
Okay.
very nice way of doing
Very
it.
nice. I think that would have made
Practical
me
way
laugh.
of saying that you have a problem.
There's a problem. I'm here for the solution.
So I think
Arey
people
wow.
are smart enough to do that, and it's all about just thinking out of the box. If you just go vanilla pitching people products, and that happens everywhere, even relationship sales, when you're saying networking also, you have to talk in terms of his business. Like they say in many top, I believe, networking companies is giver's gain. It talks about the other person. It's about you, it's not about me. If I help you, then it will reciprocated help. Law of reciprocation helps.
Correct.
Somewhere it will help. Always it will not help. Sometimes people will take advantage of you also. But that's the only way it will happen. If you see that time has gone when you should just search something on other people.
Right. There was a thing. I think Wolf of Wall Street, right?
Yeah.
Where he's like, you give me anything, and I can literally shove that product down that person's throat and make it happen, no matter what happens. It's just how he created that particular concept for it.
Yes.
But I think nowadays people have become more smarter in terms of who to go for, how to go for. How much do you think what we just spoke about, again, it's a human connection, right? Now we have so many digital tools out there. Do you still think this is a very much of a win situation for people? Or do you think relying on AI and digital tools will be much more easier way to do it? There are so many funnels out there. So what do you think about that?
No, digital does bring an advantage. It actually helps you focus on your target audience. It can give you good content generated also. And a lot of advantage AI also brings to the table. But I believe finally we are social animals.
Correct.
So it's about selling is all about logic and emotion. The logical part AI can give, the logical part technology can give, logical part digital can give. But the emotion, the human connection has to be there. And that's where things like networking are working very well. And there are so many members and people who are helping each other give business. So finally, digital will have its place. But finally, human interaction will always have its place. And it will come back.
So it's not like sales is something which will be replaced by AI, do you think?
No, so basically, I believe 10 years back, all this on-calls and all these things had already started. Mobiles had already come in. And then it would have been already gone into only telephonic conversation, I would say video calls. But still, networking is working. Still, people are getting crores of business through networking.
Correct, absolutely.
And
again,
even
the
today,
trust factor becomes higher.
Yes, so even today, if you see the existing clients, base anybody has that have been nurtured and tapped as if through some personal relations. So personal relations, rapport building are all soft elements. Technology will play its role. I mean, maybe it's India, that's why we are more emotional. But maybe as country which is more emotional, the emotion part will always remain.
Absolutely.
The trust, the emotion, because see, ideally what is happening also is that in third world country, not just in India, not just in single India, in foreign countries, the possibility of anybody taking you for a ride or cheating you are lesser. There is obviously frauds everywhere. But in India, people are more skeptical. Because there are more of this happening here. Some people have that habit of trying to take somebody for granted. In foreign country, it is lesser. It is there, but it is lesser. So that time, people want to have a personal connection. Unless there's a personal touch, they will not feel confident to deal with that person.
Why do you think that is there? Because this is something I have also experienced. So this is, I'm not saying, you just said that getting cheated in India there is a higher chance than apparently from America or UK. I have experienced this myself as well. Why do you think that is there, and what can we do to change this?
No, I believe कि थोड़ा सा चलता है culture है. चलता है, कल्चर थोड़ा है, थोड़ा शॉर्टकट्स भी मारने का, थोड़ा पीपल हैव हैबिट ऑफ मेकिंग शॉर्टकट्स. So I am not saying the situation is that bad. Otherwise, business would not happen in such a huge number that we are having in our country. So there are very much good elements in compared to other third world countries. So we are much better. But still there are issues. I mean, every other country feels that pending invoices का problem है, last payment आया नहीं है, माल दिया लेकिन अच्छा नहीं निकला. Every other product we see to our house or office, वो इतना अच्छा नहीं काम कर रहा है जितना काम करना चाहिए था. That means it has not been done properly.
Yeah.
इसीलिए तो वो लीक होने लगा.
Cutting is there.
The people cut corners. So that is their attitude. And that's why we are not able to sell outside also. आज हम लोग ने I saw a table of which countries are selling outside: Germany, France, US, UK. They are exporting trillions of good. Maybe they had an advantage earlier also. But finally, if your products are super, they'll be sold worldwide. So like some of our products are being sold like pharma or other jewelry or whatever. So that culture has to come, that we will do something that will really be of use to me. And that change has to come from each person. It can't be brought on from some top-down government or some institute that will tell us कि ऐसे करो. Nobody will to control that.
It's your own
traffic light break करना कि नहीं करने का कि नहीं है, ये अपना decision है.
It's self-consciousness.
Self-conscious. If I am trying to give you service, I ensure that you best service. थोड़ा पैसा ज्यादा लगा, profit कम आया तो भी चलेगा. But you should be a delighted customer.
Of course.
ये जो एक heartfelt ये है, that feeling has to come, that kind of accountability has to be there. Then everything will fall into place. Absolutely.
I completely agree to that. Like I as well, as an entrepreneur, I deal a lot with American clients, right? So most of my side clients are American. I'll tell you the difference that I've faced here, right? I'm not trying to diminish India. I love India. India is an amazing country. But the difference I've realized is whenever I'm dealing with American clients, I've made a website for them, I've done any kind of digital work for them. It's always phases, right? If it's a big website, they'll create phases. Payments are released like that. I just have to send one reminder, hey, here's the payment due as per our conversation. Next day, the payment is there. I don't have to run after.
Absolutely.
Please pay me. Please pay me. Sir, can you pay me today? It's not there. Invoice sent, payment came in.
Absolutely.
That's what. Whereas comparatively, if I'm dealing with Indian clients, if they're making a big website, number one, they're always in fear that our concept will be stolen. No idea why. The number two is that phases are not there. They want everything to be done at once and upload at once, which becomes challenging because, trial and error phase becomes very difficult at that because you're not just checking one phase, you're checking several phases. So that becomes a challenge. Here are the two different perspectives that I've had with personal experience when I'm dealing with a client in India who's paying me 10 lakh rupees, 15 lakh rupees for a website. Whereas for the same website, an American is paying me almost 20 lakhs, 25 lakh rupees.
Right.
But still, I would rather work with American there and be like, oh, okay, it's easier and simpler. Here, they're paying me less as well. And the work is also difficult.
Yes.
How can we change this mentality and adapt those kind of mentality to grow and let grow?
No, I believe it's a matter of time because if you see the progress that we are given in 1990s, which has opened up our country for foreign investment and all that. So gradually we are changing, good practices are coming, governance practices are being improved. But yes, finally things like discipline, accountability is each person's call. And that's what we have to imbibe in our society in general, be it business or in personal. That will possibly, someplace if we see that we have to be a best country and we want to be, then we have our own strengths, no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
And we are proud of it also. And that's what makes us what we are. But if there is something that we are lacking, we should also accept that we are lacking it and take it from others.
And adapt.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's for our own good. जैसे आपने एग्जांपल दिया कि भाई पेमेंट्स नहीं आते टाइम पे, 2-3 महीने करते, 6 महीने करते, पेमेंट दुबारा डालते. That's not a good practice to have somebody suffers very badly.
Absolutely. And also in this way, what happens, because they're not doing these practices, many times they end up not launching their product as
yes.
Because they've failed in that such miserably. Absolutely. And they're so much in fear that what if the person steals my thing? अरे भाई तुमने जो सोचा है वो किसी और ने सोच के बना लिया है. We're not in an era where you're completely coming up with something brand new. Very rarely this is happening. It's just same thing which is now being reinvented.
But I believe it's a matter of time. Maybe we'll have to do that because if you have to go from now whatever 5th position to 3rd and 1st position, or it must be difficult with China being there. and they are much ahead in their best practices. But obviously the top 3 में जाने के लिए भी हम लोग को ये सब system करना ही पड़ेगा.
Yeah.
So we have to change, and I think we will change so that we become one of the best in the world.
Power, yeah. Because funny you brought up China, because I used to deal with one of the Chinese vendors long time back, and I had a call with him. So I told him that he was a vendor for Apple products, right? And I was like, how are you able to replicate the exact Apple parts, which even Apple, doesn't do it, and they're so expensive and they're so cheap. So what he told me that we have a very nice unity between us Chinese people. So a vendor who has the blueprints for Apple parts will share it with his brother or cousin or friend, and then they'll start a factory together and start selling that in a cheaper way, and they have partnership together. And that's exactly what they'll do with each other, and they'll work in unity no matter what happens. They're okay to share. I think the sharing concept is something which we need to learn and adapt.
Yeah.
Because this is not still part of it. Collaboration is now coming up in India.
No. So basically, I believe for ages we have known that we have a issue, and what others have benefit. The first world countries is that they believe in collective good and not individual good.
Correct.
And we believe in individual good and not in collective good.
हाँ, मेरा क्या?
हम लोग घर के बाहर कचरा फेंकेंगे, लेकिन वो कचरे की वजह से मेरे घर पे गंदगी होगी, बीमारी आएगी, वो हम लोग नहीं सोचते. हाँ. See, something we have to say clearly. We are also patriotic Indians. We are not blaming our country.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we are saying कि जो improve होना है वो होना है ना.
Absolutely. We need to adapt. As humans, we need to
adapt. We are more individualistic. लाइन तोड़ेंगे और घुसेंगे तो सब गर्दी होके सभी एक दूसरे पे गिरेंगे. हाँ. तो लाइन तोड़नी नहीं है. ऐसे जापानीज जैसे करते हैं या बाकी लोग कैसे करते हैं. स्पीड जो करते हैं, 2 सेकंड लेट गाड़ी है तो भी अपोलोजाइज करता है ड्राइवर. यहाँ पे हमारा एक मीटिंग के लिए आदमी आधा घंटा 1 घंटा आने का नॉर्म ही है.
हाँ, वो तो नेचुरली है.
So ये सब चीजें बदलनी है, और बदलेंगे तो ही हम लोग टॉप 3 में जाएंगे. वरना इट गोइंग टू बी वेरी डिफिकल्ट.
Very challenging. Absolutely. And I completely agree with you that what we are talking about right now is not we are trying to put them down. If you guys are taking it wrong, please don't. What we are trying to tell you here is maybe a little bit of a mindset change is required.
Yes.
Isn't that right?
Yes.
I think if we think about, like you said very correctly, throwing garbage or standing in line, even standing in line, you stick like this. Like, I don't know why, like sometimes people's behind is being touched to mine. And it's very, very annoying. Whereas you just have 1% gap, no? Small things, but yet, inshallah, we'll see that how this works across. Taking this forward back again to the sales particular part, how much do you think social media marketing is important when it comes to sales?
No, so basically earlier the pattern was that people would do cold calling to get sales. That is, go and visit people without being invited, but the client knowing what is expecting. So that time they used to get, example, in 90s, the conversion percentages for 100 visits, we used to get 3 conversions. So 3% conversion was there, which was itself very low for a product that was doing very well. So, but then that was how it was, because 97% would not trust you.
Correct.
Gradually what has happened is that 3% has become 0.1%. If you do cold calling,
yes.
If you do telesales, people will not pick up your phone because of Truecaller. If you go directly, you will not be allowed in the building itself, except for maybe MRs who are allowed into doctor's premises, and retail wherein shopkeepers allowed.
That's the
different segment altogether. Otherwise, no segment you can do physical visits without being invited.
Yeah.
So obviously, and telemarketing also, as I said, is not working. People are not taking unknown calls. There also the conversion percentage are very, very low. So even you take 100 calls, 200 calls, you get 1 or 2 appointments or 1 closure in a day or whatever. After taking 200 to 50 calls.
Don't forget the stress that telecaller is going to go through.
Absolutely. It's very hectic. 200, 250 calls I've seen telesales people making. And it's very hectic. And marketing, what happens is that firstly, it's important because social media, when you have leads coming from social media, you have taken permission from the client that you will call. You're not intrusive. You have permission-based marketing you are doing, which is very, very polite way of doing marketing.
Correct.
And based on that, when you convert, the conversion percentage are around 2 to 3%, though there also things are not shaping up so well because, being social media, people are not very in a serious mood to really fill up the forms to give the leads. Google will have better conversion than social media. You know better since you're a social marketer. So, basically, but then obviously it's better than cold call.
Better than cold
Better cold call.
Absolutely.
And it creates some branding also. Digital branding happens. People come to know about your brand. So that has a long-term effect on how the results would flow in future.
Correct. Because I think a lot of businesses now have adapted the practices of being a creator or influencer, so that people know who the co-founder is, who the founders are, and it becomes much more of a trust level. You take Mpure, you take Sugar, you take this girl who sells hair. I'm not sure what her name is, but she's also there, part of consistently making reels, being up with the trend, making sure that you're able to grow your business with the trust factor as well. Kind of, it has become the networking of the digital era. You can call it that. If people trust you, people buy from you. That's how it kind of works as well.
And also, if I may add, so when you have salespeople getting marketing leads, they are more motivated to go after those leads.
Fair.
Where they feel there is somewhere the client has shown some interest. So like in sales, we have a formula: attention, interest, desire, and action. AIDA is the law is. So you have attention, interest already been created through the ad, and now you have to only do desire and action. So 50% of the work is done. So that tells people that the client expecting my call. So he's a little in the better frame of mind to approach the client.
That's true.
As
and
again, this when you're doing cold
adding your database as well, no?
Yes.
It's adding your database as well, because they're always there. And then if you call them at the right moment, then you can always continue with email marketing, follow-ups. You can nowadays WhatsApp API is a very big part of it, where you can do automation there as well, which is quite neat and keeps on reminding you of what you want as well. I think that's there as well.
Surely.
Are you into WhatsApp marketing as of right now? WhatsApp AI?
WhatsApp marketing helped me in kinds of building the community. So because the annual membership that I kept for these Biz Warriors was so low that I couldn't afford social media marketing for that. So I used WhatsApp marketing.
Okay.
And considering the concept was so appealing maybe 4 or 5 years back, and that the price was so low, I got huge conversions from WhatsApp that time.
Okay.
But these days it's all about these WhatsApp groups which are not giving any results.
I mean, I think it's a factor of, because there's so many. Even if I go through my phone right now, I feel I have somewhere around, I'm not even kidding, 300, 400 groups which I'm part of. And I had to literally separate my business phone and my personal phone because of the factor of that only, because my WhatsApp is always ringing no matter what's happening here. So of course, which group you're part of, that will definitely matter as well, and how are you nurturing those particular groups, that will matter as well. What is your thought process with email marketing? Do you think, because we live in a country where when you send an email, you have to call them a message and saying, I've sent an email, please check?
No, so as you rightly said, email is, obviously in corporate context, emails are taken seriously. But as an individual message, if you see your inbox, it all flooded with messages, promotional messages, and maybe 80% are not opened. See, ideally, what happens in every initiative or every idea has its time. So there was a email marketing, we used to sell each emailer for 50 paise per email. Or 1 rupee per email we are selling at a time, maybe 15 years back.
Right.
And that gradually has now died down into 80% people not opening their emails also. So every idea or any initiative will have its time, and I believe to some extent it is slightly decreasing. Yes, but then just to ensure that some things are hygiene. So being on WhatsApp, like you said, marketing is slightly like a hygiene. Email marketing is hygiene. It might not give you serious results. But just being in touch there, some conversions here and there. See, it's all scattered these days. What has really happened is media entirely has become so scattered and the results have become so skewed that you have to be present somewhere in small proportions everywhere. Thoda work hoga, it'll add up to a bigger amount. Because you don't have one media that gives the best results. Not even networking for that matter, frankly. Not networking, not social media, maybe LinkedIn, yes. Whatever. I mean, it is only a couple of media that actually give very strong results. Otherwise, the entire 80%, 90% of media are giving very, the conversions are very, very low.
I miss those days when 40% was your your profit margins. Now we are like really happy when somebody says 10% is my profit margin. You have 10%. What are you doing? Tell me even right now, because I remember when I started my business at a very young age.
Yes.
And when somebody would ask, what's your profit margin? I was like, it's 40%. That's my profit margin. Back in 2006, 2007, I'm talking about. Nowadays, it's like 4%, 5%, 10%. And I mean, if anyone is over 10%, I feel like, What are you doing?
I resonate on that because we used to budget for our media, print media. We used to budget 30% profit.
Correct.
In spite of it, a print product. So we used to print those copies, distribute it as many number of copies.
Right.
Still we had 30%
But
margins.
still we have 30-40% margin.
But nowadays, getting 5-10% margin rightly
it's
said.
like, oh my God, it's like, oh, thank
Every
God.
client is crying, and see what is happening is where the challenge is coming is that, for example, you have said 100 is your target and 90 is your break even with 10% profit margin. Number of months it's happening that you do only 80.
Correct.
And that 10 ka jo gap 80 or 90 ka, that becomes creates your cash flow issue.
Absolutely.
And that's where the sales force is under a lot of pressure, the marketing team is under pressure, branding team under pressure, and with the current scenario in media and the conversion percentage, it become an uphill task. And that's where the startups and SMEs are struggling.
Correct.
In what corporates are struggling, for that matter, corporates result we don't see it very closely. I mean, I have lived through corporates wherein I have not been able to tell the entire story in this short span of time. But corporates struggle big time. Big time they struggle.
Correct.
And just because they have a brand, they keep on getting loans or investors, a different story. For small investors, that is a normal company.
That is like a literally whole different conversation.
Yes, but corporates, a lot of corporates are also struggling. I am not in a negative picture, but I am saying the times are challenging in terms of profitability. Scaling up a business, like you have the valuation game people play in terms of getting valuations and going for IPOs. So that kind of business are doing very well because you just pump in money, do the marketing and the basic infrastructure of people and infrastructure and build the companies and then sell the companies or put it on the stock market. That's a different story. But profitability business per se is very challenging because of the bottlenecks we have in branding, marketing and sales.
Absolutely.
And there, if you have an export coming in the picture, then slightly it can be a little better.
Little bit better.
So they don't have all the solutions.
No?
Yes.
Nowadays, like literally when they come, they're like, okay, how much is your profit? Like we're in negative right now. Sometimes I'm thinking, how are they running the company? If they consistently last 3 years, we're in like 5 lakh negative, 4 lakh negative. I'm like,
absolutely.
Like, how is that even possible? You guys are running business in negative. So what you guys are doing, like using investors' money or what? You know?
Yes, that's what they do.
So it's like, again, it's have a whole different concept of topic there. Before we move into the different concept of the life warriors, I want to ask you that if you can, in a very short, in a brief, and a crisp manner, somebody who's starting an entrepreneur journey, what are the 5 to 7 things they need to do, all the way from starting a business, getting the sales, setting up the CRM, and the process, starting from the less important to the most important. If you can put that out, that'll be wonderful.
First of all, they have to be mindset of an entrepreneur. It's not going to be a very easy journey. Taking a job and earning 25, 30, take it to 40, 50, 60, 1 lakh, 2 lakhs is definite ball game. It brings a lot of challenges in a job, but still it's more manageable. Entrepreneurship, you have one person earlier and then you have your team. So your responsibility of the entire team, your clients is on your shoulders. So you have to be really very courageous and brave person to be able to be an entrepreneur. The second thing, if you want to do well as an entrepreneur, is yes, your idea should be something that should really solve some good problem. Ideally, if it's a kind of a first mover advantage wherein nobody has thought of it, great. So you have a good kind of a first mover advantage in trying to grab more market share. Otherwise, it's a B2 idea that obviously you will have to ensure that you brand it well. Branding does not mean only collaterals like logo or tagline. It means as to how people will see your brand. How will see your offer or your solution. So that then has to be communicated through marketing.
So you got number 1 is mindset.
First is mindset, ideation.
Ideation. Number 3 is branding. Okay.
Then we have marketing.
Number 4 is
marketing is your performance marketing plus the other aspects of marketing like pricing and market identification, geographical identification and so forth. The 4 P's as they call it. And then you have after marketing the sales part. So you have to have a very strong and well-trained sales motivated sales force.
So the number 5th is sales part.
Sales part. And then the service, because a lot of people do everything but they forget to offer service. So deliverables देने भाई ऐसा नहीं कि आपने promise कर दिया और
पैसे आगे भूल गए.
ये trend नहीं चाहिए हमने we discussed it some time back. If you really have to be a trusted company like some of the companies in our country have made a mark like Tata's and so forth. That service is very important. Even car industry, Maruti for that example, service is very important.
So number 6 is service.
Service.
Number 7 is surveys.
So, service ke baad then there will be the other functions that will support it with HR, admin.
Okay. Then
create an entire organization structure. So I am of the opinion of going from SME to corporate if you want to scale up. You start as a solopreneur. You of course funds. I mean that's the starting point. You have to have maybe 50 lakhs, 1 crore. Ideally I would say to small business. You would say why so much? Because if you have 5 people also, the cost will be not more than 3 to 4 lakhs per month, considering the expenses in major cities. So that makes to around 50 lakhs per year. That's why I'm saying 50 lakhs or 1 crore you start with. So you have a buffer of 3 years, 1 crore necessary to have a sizable business. Otherwise, then if you some months things go down, then you have an issue in terms of getting the business up.
Okay.
And then you start struggling.
But what if someone who's just starting off completely, see 50 lakhs, 1 crore rupees for us right now, it's easy to say because now we are earning at that point of time. But for people who are at a job mindset, people may be earning 25,000 rupees, 30,000 rupees, 50,000 rupees. Can they not start by investing a small amount of 1-2 lakh rupees and just doing things themselves?
See, ideally, I feel entrepreneurs of various levels. If you are basic entrepreneur or solopreneur who can earn 25,000-50,000 per month and call himself an entrepreneur, it's fine. But it's more of a...
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about they're in sales right now. They're in a job right now, earning 25,000, 50,000 rupees. They want to turn into an entrepreneur now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm saying if you start in entrepreneur without funds, then you'll have to obviously be a one-man show. If you're a one-man show, initially you'll earn not more than 25,000-50,000 in the job, in the new business that you have started. Gradually, as I said earlier also, that if you start saving money and you have sufficient funds for your home, then start putting that money into business and let the team grow. Finally, the team is going to be very important. That team will grow your business. You can't grow the business yourself. What work you can do, the team can multiply that business. So building that team is going to be very critical. Otherwise, if you have a great idea and you have developed a product around it by some savings, whatever, then you should be in a position to get angel investors. So if you have angel investors coming in and then they start supporting from right seed funding, etc., then you have enough funds to do. But I am of the opinion that without funds, get into business can hold you back into becoming a small-time entrepreneur or a solopreneur. That's a big crunch, and I have myself observed it last 5 years. Initially, after I started, there was a huge crunch in terms of finances, so I could not grow the business, even though I knew how to grow the business. And I couldn't convince investors to put into a business which was more like a business coaching or a life coaching or a sales coach.
Yes,
so funds, I believe, are going to be important. Used wisely, of course. Don't blow away funds like that. It will be a hard time later on. But small idea, small earnings. Small fund, small earnings. Big idea, investors take it ahead. That could be the norm.
That could be it. So when you start as an entrepreneur journey, have a mindset and a game plan of 1 to 3 years.
Yes.
Not just start ke kal kya hoga. 1 to 3 years, how are you going to have it, and make a plan accordingly.
Minimum 3 years plan you should have. Otherwise, it takes 3 years. See, like I've been giving a sampling example very often. अब बच्चे का भी देखो, 16-18 साल का बच्चा बनता है तब एडल्ट होता है. 16-17 साल उसको कुछ नहीं करना, पढ़ाई करनी है, एंजॉय करना है. तभी जाके 18-21-25 साल का होता है तब कमाने लगता है. तो 20-22 साल अपना हमारे बच्चे को देते हैं ताकि वो पढ़े. तो बिजनेस भी हमारे बच्चा ही है ना. It's like our kid. So how can you expect that kid to start delivering the second month and fifth month and give profits and you will become rich? You have to give that person. Everything takes time.
Correct.
And that time has to budget in terms of your funds. 3 years, 5 years, whatever it. I have seen a lot of companies after 5-7 years also not profitable.
Agreed. I completely agree.
That's the nature of their business or the mistakes they made, whatever it might be. But it can be that's why I said, first is courage to sustain any economic or financial issues that you will face during doing your business or other issues that come up in the business.
I agree. I completely agree. Great. Prashantji, let's take our conversation to your third aspect and third final business that you have, which is called Life Warriors. Tell me a little bit about it, because I know you have some therapies that you do, talk therapy, you have book therapy, and what kind of other therapies that you have, and what made you add Life Warriors into business and sales?
Yeah, so basically I believe every individual, there are two parts of him. It's a personal side and a business side, and both of these things overlap. So if I have some beliefs and values, those will stand true in my business also and my personal life also. It should. Sometimes people are able to keep it apart, but then mostly they overlap. So you can't keep business away from your personal life or professional life or your personal life. If there's some stress in your personal life, it will be seen in your professional life. In professional life, there is an issue, it will be seen in your personal life. So any person who has to be supported in business has to be supported first as an individual. So all the limitations he has, the stress he's going through, or the motivation he or she requires, or the guidance that person requires, all that on an individual level or a personal level, once that person gets, he becomes confident of handling business. I said business takes a lot of courage and a lot of qualities are required, but they come from a personal self. Personality जैसी होगी वैसे उसका business होगा. So personal था, इसलिए I said Life Warriors is something I should look at also. And then I started with the talk therapy, because see, it was about positioning a person to motivate the person who is slightly under stress. So that's why the talk therapy came, when the person would went out and he would tell about his problems. And then there was buddy program where I would stay with that person for years so that he get consistent support. And then of course the books that I rent out, because ideally people thought ki talking to me might not be possible always. So I have a collection of 200, 300 books of skills which I myself I used to improve myself. That I would give that person to improve that person. So all these things I added to the portfolio so that people can help themselves be better. And once you are better on the basic, I firmly believe if you are average, you will get average in life. If you are the best has to come to you. So the whole effort is to trying to make it the best through individual support. And their business support is a very common formula. I mean, doesn't require something really out of the box. If adhere to well, then there is slightly easier than life warriors.
I really appreciate the fact where you spoke such nicely when it comes to the life warriors, because many times I think the number one thing people forget when they start business, chalo sales to hai karna hi hai. They forget the mindset, they forget the lifestyle. The business owners, entrepreneurs, they quit 9 to 5 just to start working 24 hours a day. That's a meme as well out there. You say that, oh, I left work, I left 9 to 5 to work for myself and have more time to myself. But now I'm working 24 hours a day, because there's no break when you are an entrepreneur. So the life warriors, where you have got so many therapies working together, how do you manage and how do you teach them about stress, and how do you help them maintain stress level? Because stress level is there. As an entrepreneur, is always there. How do you help them with that?
No, so basic of handling stress is that firstly it should come out of you. If you keep on bottling it up inside you, then it creates a lot of illnesses. I mean, just to say ki there are 20 crore plus Indians who are mentally ill. That's around nearly 14% of the population. So that is the extent to which globally also, if you see, the biggest problem we are facing today globally is mental health.
Correct.
So it has to be taken care of. And as far as stress is concerned, when you do talk therapy and you make people talk about their problems, it comes out. And that itself makes the person better. Of course, it keeps on building up, so that you have to have regular sessions. So talk therapy or CBT or whatever these psychologists do, which I don't do, my panel members do, is something that has to be done on a long-term basis. But still that de-stresses them. Secondly, also what I try to do for a one-to-many kind of as an exercise is I do outside games. So I'm certified for training games. And I can conduct around 25 to 30 training games based on props, etc., which itself makes the person distressed because of the activity he plays. So through activities, through talk therapy, through buddy program, or just by reading some positive books, a person can feel it says the stress levels going down. So that's how those entrepreneurs can be distressing themselves.
Okay. You mentioned about reading books. Not everyone has that capacity of reading. They don't enjoy reading. What can be other alternatives apart from that?
So audio books are there. You can watch YouTube videos. And
they can watch Kabirr Vani podcast.
Absolutely. That's one of the best ways to do distress yourself.
Absolutely.
Yes. And of course, there is music you can listen to.
Okay.
Music is a great de-stressor. Or you could only exercise. I will tell people, see, because it's all about when you have stress or you have depression, or if you leads to depression, it's that your neurotransmitters are out of balance. Oxytocin, and you have dopamine and serotonin. So just to balance them can be done through natural ways like exercising or sleeping well or going in the sunlight, eating good proper food, not having alcohol and smoking. So all these things will help you into ensuring that your stress levels come down. So these are the things that we advise people. Simple, separate technique. There is no rocket science. Only if there is an advanced issue wherein the depression has set in biologically or clinically, then I recommend to my channel, my medical partners, which are psychologists, qualified psychologists, or even for that matter, psychiatry if the need be, because medication also sometimes helps. If the case is a little serious. Otherwise, if this just basic de-stressing is required, I can take care of it at my level, because I'm also certified counselor and also done certifications in offside games, hypnotherapy level 1 and so forth.
Okay, wonderful. And do you have some kind of group? where they can be a part of and ease their journey of stress level and be part of the life warriors?
See, frankly, Warriors group was connected, as I said, with 5 objectives. One is connecting, consulting, coaching, counseling, and celebrating. So, counseling was part of the effort to help entrepreneurs de-stress. But what is happening in our society, unfortunately, stress and mental illness is taken as a stigma. And that's why I find it very difficult for people to come upfront and offline and come to me and tell that they have a problem. Or anybody for give a referral also become difficult because that person does not want to take up that topic with somebody else.
Yeah, they think
sad,
that it's
yes.
crazy or something like that.
Absolutely. I mean, though awareness levels have improved hugely, especially in the new generation to take help, but still it is considered stigma, and a person who has some issue is considered with a kind of a limitation. So that's why I'm also launching some online tools shortly, so that people in their privacy can connect with me, so that they don't have to contact offline through somebody else.
Okay, it can be a direct contact, very safe and secure place for them.
Yes, yes.
Okay. When it comes to this again, lifestyle mindset and all, right? When it comes to business, when it comes to sale, when it comes to mental wellness, how much do you think meditation and manifestation can be a part of it? And especially being an entrepreneur, do you teach them how to manifest business to take it to the next level?
See, ideally, I believe it's a meditation and manifest are very good ways of really helping out people. And I have it that in my agenda, but frankly, at this current level that I have reached, having implemented talk therapy, buddy program, offsite games, and hypnotherapy to some extent, I have not implemented this in my curriculum, but I usually recommend manifestation and meditation as tools to ensure de-stressing. Because if you do yoga and also manifestation or meditation, then I believe nothing like it.
Fair.
So it's a very big tool in terms of de-stressing and in terms of mental health, including your physical health.
Absolutely. Do you meditate? Do you do anything with that sort of yourself?
Well, I obviously, since I propagate people to stay calm and de-stress. I also use various techniques to de-stress myself, including some amount of meditation.
Okay, it does work in that way out. Great. I think because personally I feel meditation and manifestation can really change the person's perspective. Even
Absolutely.
being into this journey of my own manifestation, I have literally manifested everything, including this wonderful podcast that I have.
Fantastic.
And how I've got from my business from one level to next level is all through the process of manifestation.
Absolutely.
That works really well and kind of keeps you calm.
Absolutely.
It's something that I think we can maybe work together there and share out to the world.
It will be my pleasure and opportunity to work.
Great, sir. Great. Now, coming to the most exciting part. There is an app that you have. What's the name of the app, and what does that app exactly do for you?
Yeah, so as I was telling you, a lot of people don't want to come and meet me offline. So there are a lot of people who do come and take my help. But there are a number of people who want to, because nowadays it's a digital generation. So I have developed an app called Warriors. And through these Warriors, people can chat with me and talk about their problems. They can leave their query and I get back to them within 24 hours. Currently, it's not a live app wherein I chat with them online. They can just leave their query and in 24 hours, I'll revert back to them with the solution. And if the need be, take it offline. So offline is an omni-channel. But the gateway is through app, so that people can download and whenever they're facing any issues, can take help. So being digital means in your own privacy, you can do that where you don't have to ask somebody or talk to somebody and like that. And as I said, if I am not able to help, I have my panel members, qualified doctors who can help you, or experts in this field who can help you out. So it starts with getting into the app and start a small chat with me.
Okay. Does this have pre-recorded courses, or is it just chat with you and one-to-one courses?
It's just a chat app currently, and it just because so that the communication can be started. It's a conversation starter, as I would call it.
Okay. So
currently, it has no pre-recorded courses.
Are you planning to take it that side and get?
Yes, gradually seeing the response and the need, we'll do that. But it will be to help distress people. Whatever I can do to help people de-stress or help distress people, all those steps gradually will take.
Okay, great. What we can do is we'll make sure that the app's link is in the description below. so that people can go ahead and download this app and get in touch with you as well.
That will be nice.
They can help you out, and they can help you. You can help them out.
Yes, yes.
Start a business, get into the proper sales process. It can be like a one-stop solution for your life and your business together.
Yes, yes.
Rather than trying to find different people, you can just find everything at once.
Yes. It has two icons. If when you log into the app, one is the business icon and one is the personal icon. If you have any personal query, you can go to the personal section for personal problems. And if you have a business query, you can log into the business section.
Okay.
That's why we have bifurcated that.
Okay. It's make web life simple.
Simple.
Great. Awesome. I'm so happy because today's conversation, I feel if a person watches the full podcast, which I know most of our people do, they will learn so much from it. Now, coming to your warrior categories, you have Biz Warrior, Sales Warrior, and Life Warrior. If you have to break it down, what are the services that are you providing in this sector?
So, as far as Sales Warrior is concerned, since I was sales side in corporate for 30 years, being part of Tata's network team, and ask me, Sales Warriors, I do recruitment, I do training, I do motivation of the sales force, I do part-time team management, sales team management, and I also bring in technology to the team through CRM, etc. When it comes to Biz Warriors, I include the member in the community wherein I connect people so that they can exchange referrals on their own. I also do coaching about different verticals that help in business growth, be it sales, marketing, media, leadership, and other aspects like Japanese management techniques and so forth. Apart from that, I do consulting so that on a one-to-one basis also I can help out clients to grow. Counseling we try to do, and we do celebrating for socials, etc. so that there can be bonding amongst members. As far as Life Warriors are concerned, I do talk therapy, I do buddy program, I do online offsite games. I also do rent out self-help books so that people can improve themselves. And lastly, I also connect to medical experts if the need be. So these are the three functions of Sales Warriors, Biz Warriors, and Life Warriors.
Life Warriors, great. Everything under one umbrella, which is amazing.
Yes.
I would like to ask you, before we conclude our podcast, you have spoken about self-help books, right? What are your top 3 books which you would like to recommend?
Yeah, so basically, as far as self-help books is concerned, the top book, which is basically one of the oldest, is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Now, this is basically a very simple book which talks about simple things like remembering people's names, smiling at them, or talking in terms of their interests. But these are the basics we all forget. We feel it's all about high-end relationship-related fundas. But the simple things like smiling at people, being nice to them, greeting them on their birthdays, giving them a good jappi, all that is required to make a relationship and rapport.
I agree.
So that's one book I like a lot. Okay. Second self-help book which I feel in terms of financial well-being is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. There he talks about assets and how actually you need to save first and then spend. So all these very good concepts about financial well-being are there in these books. The third book I would say is John Maxwell's Leadership Laws. So it talks about how to be a great leader, which also talks about an entrepreneur being itself a leader since leads a team. So you have to have qualities like the team. You should be a likable leader, and you should not communicate only, but you should connect. So all these wonderful fundas are there in these books. And I just love these 3 books apart from the other hundreds of books I have. Each book tells us something or the other and adds value to your life.
Okay. Two more books. I want you to give me 5. So you've given me 3. 2 more books which you think.
The other books, if you would ask me, are basically more of technical books related to stress. So I wouldn't remember the name of the author since it's not a very well publicized book. But there's a book on stress management. The topic itself is stress management.
The topic itself.
And that stress management book tells us to how every stage of life we go through stress. So as a kid, what are the stress we go through? We feel childhood was extremely happy. But when you realize that when you were actually a child, you went through a lot of stress. The teacher would shout at you, the parent would scold at you, or some error you would make, or some mischief you would make. So that also brought in a lot of stress. And then there were some issues in terms where from middle class family you would not get a few things that it brought a lot of stress. So right from that stage to a teenager, to an adult, to a senior citizen, all those things have been put up very nicely in that book called Stress Management. And the 5th book, I would rather say one of the best. It's very difficult to point out specific book per se, but there is this book on by a brigadier who talks about army leadership to corporate leadership.
Okay.
So because I tell you, you get a lot of things. See, I believe the armed forces, they go for their motherland and they fight it out and they die for their country. Is the biggest sacrifice any person can. We salute our soldiers.
Agreed.
To build that in the team is a leader job. So I have not only read the books, but in fact, I come from an army background where my grandfather was in the army, my uncle was in the army, my cousin was in the army, and I've spoken to my cousin, etc., and how they imbibe these skills of a leader so that they can drive their teams and the kind of passion they have about their work and about their job. So it's a fantastic book about this from battlefield to corporate leadership. So these 5 books is what I would recommend everybody should.
Very nice. I really appreciate that. And before we finally conclude it, what one message you would like to give to our viewers who are listening to us, watching our podcast, and they're especially thinking of starting into a entrepreneur journey or struggling in an entrepreneur journey?
See, I would say that I am also an upcoming entrepreneur. Not that I made it and I have 100 crore turnover. I did very well in corporates, and that corporate itself was in a way an entrepreneurial journey, because we as a team were trying to ensure that the team wins and the company wins. So I believe it's all about holding your team together. So as I said, you will have to gradually make a team, 1 person, 5 people, 10 people, 20 people. The success that I've seen when I was with Tata Press or with Network 18 or with Ask Me, whatever other corporates I had, was that we had a very strong team. And it really didn't matter from what background we were in terms of religion or language or caste. It's all about that bonding which we had together. That made all the difference. And if you want to build a good team and be successful entrepreneur, build a super team. The team that will be so passionate that together all of you will make a history in this corporate world. That has to be the kind of a bonding that this team has and the objective of doing well in corporate life. That's the learning you have. Build a team. Build a strong team. Be a great leader. Be somebody who's really is a kind of father to that family, and you will be definitely successful.
Very nice, very nice. I appreciate that. Thank you, Prashant Bhai. You were here today with us, shared your wonderful thoughts, your knowledge for business, for sales, for life, and I think I really enjoyed today's podcast, having a conversation with you. And for my viewers, I hope that you had a wonderful conversation. I hope that you had enjoyed today's podcast, which taught you so much about business, for sales, and for life. Many of the times we forget how to do every single thing in a right process, and we have got things kind of confused. But since with this podcast, I'm sure that you have figured out how to get things correctly. And if you need more help, you can reach out to Prashant Pradhan. His details are there in our description below, and you can go ahead and do that for us. If you have enjoyed this podcast, make sure you share this with the upcoming entrepreneur, budding entrepreneur, or someone who's struggling with growth, because this podcast is definitely going to help them a lot. If you like to listen to the podcast, we are available on all the major audio podcasts as well. If you don't find us there, make sure go ahead and leave us a message with the name. We'll make sure that we come there very soon. For all of you guys who have stayed with us so far, thank you so much. Until next time.